Hey guys, so we'll get you an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're back with the Vayne updated complete guide for patch 4.2 onwards. So as usual, refer to the Vayne basic guide that I released yesterday to take a look at her skills, leveling, order, tips and tricks, combos and etc. And yeah, let's jump straight into talking about Vayne's loadout. So first up, we're going to discuss items. So for items, we have the brand new combo of Shield Bow PD. So obviously, Shield Bow gives you the nice starting amount of AD crit as well as a little bit of attack speed and physical vamp. But the main, like bulk of the reason Shield Bow is good, especially on Vayne, is the Lifeline and Battle Fury passive. So of course, the first one gives you a shield when you go below 35% health, and this is really good because Vayne has pretty short range and normally is in the thick of the fight. So she's normally taking quite a bit of damage as much as she deals. So this shield is going to help her a lot. And next up is the physical vamp. So Vayne mainly cares about two stats: attack speed and physical vamp. So it's a little bit like Draven, but Draven cares about AD. Anyway, that's off track. So Vayne wants physical vamp and she wants attack speed. So attack speed to proc her passive more quickly, and physical vamp because she's taking a lot of damage. So physical vamp coming from the shield bow is amazing. So speaking of attack speed, we have Phantom Dancer that of course gives 30% attack speed and goes up to 60% when you fully stack its passive. Also gives you movement speed, which is useful on Vayne, so you can kite around fights in addition to your tumble. Of course, you get 5% extra movement speed and the 7 bonus max movement speed, which stacks up to 4 times. And aside from that, you also get crit and you also get AD, which are all stats you love. So for the boots, generally I like to go for defensive boots, either the Merc Treads or the plated steel caps. You no longer need boots of Fury because you now have items like Phantom Dancer that gives you a lot of movement speed already. You can even go for Gluttonous Greaves if you want, and of course you go for either Stasis or QSS depending on the matchup. So next up, you sort of transition from going crit items to on-hit items. So you next up go for Blade of the Rune King, which of course gives you more attack speed, more AD, physical vamp, as well as of course the on-hit current health damage, which is very useful against both tanks and squishies alike, as well as the drain passive to run people down more easily. Next up, you have Gnasher's Tooth, which of course now is an AD item, or could be an AD item, gives you 45% attack speed, 20 ability haste, as well as 30 AD in Vayne's case, and your basic attacks will do on-hit magic damage, which scales off of your bonus AD, which you do have quite a bit of. I mean, not a lot, but you have 40 from here, 25 from here, and 20 from here, as well as 30 from here, so decent amount of on-hit magic damage. And I like to top it up with a Bloodthirster, because by this point you normally have enough attack speed already, and the Bloodthirster just gives you a huge injection of AD and a huge injection of physical vamp, which is going to help you do more damage as well as sustain more. Now, one of the situational items that you have is two actually. You have, Guardian Angel, which you can swap out for the last item if you need a Guardian Angel, but the other one is a Wit's End. So Wit's End, you generally swap out Wit's End with either of the on-hit items. Normally you swap out Wit's End with Blade of the Rune King. Okay, anyways, as I was saying, you normally want to swap out Wit's End for Blade of the Rune King, or you can swap out Wit's End with Gnasher's Tooth. But I think Gnasher's Tooth gives you a lot of value. Blade of the Rune King also gives you a lot of value, to be honest, but you want to go for you want to go for Wit's End when you are against heavy magic damage. So you want to trade one of these two on-hit items for Wit's End depending on the situation. And next up, we're going to talk about the runes and spells. So for runes, Lethal Tempo, of course, because the name of the game is attack speed, and when you hit 3-4 items, you're going to have insane amounts of attack speed, and you need Lethal Tempo to help you exceed the attack speed cap, as well as give you attack speed in the earlier and later stages of the game alike. You go for Hunter Vampirism, of course, for the lifesteal, and for the Resolve rune, you go for Bone Plating for the anti-burst and laning phase, or you could also go for Perseverance if you're into a heavy CC team. And finally, for your last option is Nimbus Cloak or Sweet Tooth, depending on what you prefer. And for the spells, I like taking Ghost and Flash. I find Ghost really useful on Vayne to work in conjunction with her passive to just run people down, or sometimes run away. Instead of using her Flash, you can just use a Ghost. And I think that Ghost is just better than Exhaust in every instance on Vayne, especially because when Vayne is exhausted, she still does true damage with her E, and it cannot be reduced by Exhaust, so that is just amazing. So with all that out the way, we can jump into talking about the gameplay itself. Okay, so now getting into the gameplay, as usual, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Any questions, queries, or remarks, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I will, of course, be sure to address them. So, of course, we are playing Vayne, and normally you want to play Vayne into tanky targets, and in this enemy team, there are some pretty tanky targets. You have a Mundo, you have like a Thresh, and you have a Pantheon. Of course, the tankiest one of them is gonna be Mundo. And honestly, this game is not one of my flashiest Vayne games. I have a lot of those, but this is definitely not one of them. But this one is a pretty textbook game of how to play the lane and how to play Vayne in the lane. So here, you guys can see, we're abusing the Kai'Sa. Look, we almost killed the Kai'Sa at level 1. So, you know, we dodged the Thresh hook and we are able to just, you know, basically run the Kai'Sa down using our passive and using our tumble. And from this point forward, we have complete control of this lane. Now, honestly, I think the best thing for Kai'Sa to do here is to lose some CS and back. But she tries to actually get CS, she tries to trade onto Seraphine, and I managed to land another empowered auto attack on her, and she's now in like deep trouble. She's now at like 1 HP and she can barely do anything, so me and Seraphine have complete control of the lane, and it's an Enchanter versus an Engager matchup. Thresh cannot engage because Kai'Sa cannot fight, so we have complete control of this lane. So I'm going to explain to you guys what we're doing here in the lane. Now I know this is like a Vayne guide, but this laning and such is also very important, not just for Vayne, but for every ADC as well. So here, the wave crashes in the middle. We know that Kai'Sa and Thresh are pretty low. Thresh is like, you know, at about a third HP. Kai'Sa probably just took the fruit, so she's probably at about a third to half HP as well. So here you guys can see I'm not attacking the wave. I'm waiting for the minions to get low, and I'm only last hitting to sort of prevent the wave from pushing in, because the more the wave pushes in, the more Kai'Sa is able to get farm, and the less it pushes in, the more farm and XP I'm going to deny. So here I already have a level advantage. Me and Seraphine are both level 3, whereas Thresh and Kai'Sa are both level 2. So here, again, we're just slowly waiting for the minions to go to 1 HP, and we're last hitting. We missed the CS there, but we're just trying to last hit. Here Kai'Sa tries to go for the cannon. We punish her. We make sure that, you know, she's taking damage. She blows flash. We do get flayed into the tower, and we do get ignited by Thresh, but that doesn't really matter. Basically, we blew Thresh ignite and Kai'Sa flash, so that's huge. So once again, Kai'Sa is stuck in the same situation where she's not really that high in HP. So this time she does decide to recall. Of course, in game we didn't know that, but in the replay tool we can see that her health is rapidly going up. Either way, we cannot hold the wave in the middle any longer. We're gonna shove in the wave into the enemy tower, and we're gonna back. So this does give Kai'Sa a little bit of room to CS, but you know, it's unavoidable that the wave is eventually going to build and crash. Now, if we had a jungler who was willing to dive with us, this would be the best time to dive, because we have a lot of minions, minion advantage, and Kai'Sa would lose all our minions if she dies. Of course, Yi is on the opposite side of the map, so none of that is going to happen, but I'm just telling you guys in theory. So normally, Vayne wants to play pretty conservative in the early game, but seeing as we have a huge advantage against Kai'Sa, we are playing relatively aggressively, just, you know, freezing the wave and, like, you know, just preventing her from getting XP. So here you see we're trying to freeze the wave outside our tower again. So when the enemy team has like a 2 minion advantage, it's pretty easy to freeze the wave outside of your tower, and you just have to like last hit, or you might need to thin the wave here or there. So here the wave is crashing to the tower, so we're just going to thin the wave a little bit. We assume that Kai'Sa backed, but since she didn't, we need to trim the wave a little bit, because if we fight her in a huge wave, we are going to be at a major disadvantage. So we don't want that to happen. We just want to clear out this wave, not clear out, but thin the wave a little bit. So you can see we still maintain the position of the wave, but the enemy wave has a lot less minions. So here Kai'Sa again has to walk up to CS, and because of that she has to take poke from Seraphine. You can see that both me and Kai'Sa are still 0, 0, and 0, but I have like a 500 gold lead on her just based on the fact she cannot CS, because she cannot go anywhere close to the minions. So here, once again, we're just keeping the wave here. Now, our wave is starting to build, so if they pick a fight with us, we can simply fight them in the wave, and they're gonna lose simply because of the minion disadvantage that they have. So this is some really like textbook wave control kind of a match. Like, it might seem a little bit boring because there's not really a lot of action going, but hey, good League of Legends doesn't necessarily have to be flashy. Sometimes it's just about doing the textbook stuff and just denying the enemy farm. So Seraphine steps up a little bit too far, gets flayed by the Thresh. I use my ult and go all in on just like blasting them basically. Seraphine hits the charm, I condemn Kai'Sa into the wall, and I'm focusing the Thresh since I don't have vision on Kai'Sa. I managed to finish off the Thresh, stacking my lethal tempo, and finally able to get the last hit on Kai'Sa, with the Seraphine helping me to tank the tower, and we are able to secure the kill because Seraphine tanked the tower. Now unfortunately, Pantheon cuts off our escape, and Gwen comes in. So here, because of the fact that I got the Ignite on by Pantheon and I couldn't condemn Gwen because of her W, I do end up dying. But if in a situation where that was not a Gwen, I could have just shoved that person away using my condemn and I actually would have lived. So a little bit unfortunate that I'm against the Gwen, and you know, Gwen has the Shroud, so just a little bit unlucky there. But you know, we did really well in the lane. And we're now like over 1,000 gold ahead of Kai'Sa after that kill. Of course, denying her the minions as well. So here we're in a beautiful, beautiful spot. Despite dying there, at the end of the day, we still have the most gold in the game, right? 4,000 gold. Still the most gold in the game, and it's not really too big of a deal that we died there. So here, Dragon is up, and we're of course going to contest the Dragon. So here we pop the control ward to see the Dragons at half health. So here we're going to see if we can contest the Dragon. Now, the enemy team actually tries to reset the Dragon, but because of the new mechanic in patch 4.2, the Dragon actually resets only partially, which is sort of a thing you guys have to deal with now. We secure the Ice Dragon, basically getting a free leash, and here I'm going all in on Kai'Sa. I tried to condemn her into the wall, but she actually flashes right as I condemn, so I end up pushing her further away to safety. A little bit unfortunate again, but once again, you know, it's not too big of a deal. We take the small wins where we can. We got the Dragon, and we're not going to complain too much about that. On a side note, we also have Shield Bow, and that's of course going to be useful in upcoming fights. Here we're just shoving the wave in because Kai'Sa looks like she has recalled, and off of that we can take a couple of tower plates, you know, and also deny some minions to the tower while Kai'Sa is still walking back to lane. In the meanwhile, the Rift Herald is up, so our team is sort of on the opposite side of the map now. Since Thresh is still here and Gwen is also still here, we're okay to stay in this lane, and Seraphine even interrupts Gwen's back, so Gwen is unable to rotate to the Herald. Of course, Yi is like in base now, so of course enemy team doesn't actually know that. But yeah, so here we're gonna clear up the minions. Thresh hooks Seraphine, but it's pretty funny how Thresh is the one that ends up flashing instead of Seraphine. It's pretty comical. But yeah, Thresh flash is blown again. So here we're gonna shove in the wave. Kai'Sa is nowhere to be seen. We don't know where she really went. Doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, because we can just shove down this tower. Looks like she backed and she's walking back to the lane. We do secure one tower plate, and now we're gonna back off. Probably see if okay, we're not gonna actually back. We're gonna back off, but we're not gonna back to base. So here we're gonna shove the wave in quickly to once again deny minions. The enemy team does manage to secure the Herald, unfortunately, but here we can simply just back and finally pick up some items. The Void Seeker from Kai'Sa interrupts Seraphine's back, but you know, I'm able to get back home safe. Pick up the Zeal and the Longsword. Of course, Zeal is a better item component to go for first because Vayne wants attack speed, and Zeal provides more attack speed than Noon Quiver, which gives you a little bit more AD. So here after that purchase, we're going back to lane, and once again, we did get 2 kills, but mainly from the CS lead, where like 1.1k gold ahead of Kai'Sa, and when we pick up this wave, it's going to be even more. So we have accrued a huge lead on the enemies simply just from, you know, good wave manipulation. And you know, I think this is a beautiful laning phase to watch if you guys want to see how to play waves, you know, well, which is something that you don't see a whole lot in Wild Rift. A lot more common in League of Legends PC. So here we're gonna just finish off this tower before Thresh can reach the lane. This frees us up to rotate to other lanes, namely mostly mid lane, and hopefully Lux can come down here and hold this lane instead. So here I'm just popping down the control ward to clear out the enemy vision, and here Kai'Sa finally gets to push in. But not too big of a deal. We're just going to quickly clear the wave. Nothing too much is happening here. You can see Lux is like near our area. I'm not quite sure why she came down here, but I was hoping that she would rotate here to like, you know, come to our lane, but instead she kind of walks down and then walks back up. I'm not quite sure what's going on. Well, anyways, we are going to go to mid lane, which has taken heavy damage as a result of the Rift Herald, I believe. And here we're just going to clear out the mid lane wave as well. And not too much happening here. So far, it's honestly a pretty boring game in terms of like action and kills. So far, we only had that one all-in fight where we picked up 2 kills. Aside from that, nothing too much has happened. Speaking of fights, we're rotating over to a fight where our Garen got caught out, but we noticed that we're gonna get badly outnumbered. It's not gonna be a good fight, so we're gonna immediately U-turn and retreat. We end up cutting off the Gwen, or rather I should say the Gwen ends up cutting us off, and Seraphine just explodes and dies, and so does Lux. I'm gonna have to ghost and I'm gonna have to flash out to safety And yeah, so even though individually we have a pretty huge lead against the Kai'Sa, our team has not really been in the best of shapes. Lux and Garen are kind of feeding, and Mundo is and Pantheon are incredibly fed. So this is still going to be a really tough match to for us to win, and we're not like really far ahead either. In terms of like overall goal compared to other people in the game. So here Mundo is a huge shutdown, so I'm really interested in trying to get the shutdown off of Mundo, but we can't really run him down because we don't know where his team is, and it's likely his team is rotating over to this dragon that's spawning, so we don't really want to just run at him blindly without knowing where his team is. So here we're just clearing out the minion wave to try to get mid lane priority before dragon spawns. Thresh ends up going in, Seraphine gets a huge 3-man out, Garen finishes off the Mundo and unfortunately gets the shutdown instead of me. Here I try to blast whoever I can. I spot the Thresh caught out, I kill the Thresh, and then we're going to move on to killing Pantheon. We pick up the kill on Pantheon as well. My team manages to finish off the kill onto Kai'Sa, and only Gwen is left. So here we still have 4 people up to take care of the dragon. So here I'm going to plop down the control ward, remove the enemy vision, and start focusing on the dragon. You can see Gwen walking into the bush here, just slightly out of vision. We actually saw her walking into the bush. So here Lux does root her and we are able to secure the dragon, and then we can secure the kill on Gwen. And this is really the turning point of the game where the enemy team basically gets a delayed ace and my team only one person dies. So it becomes a pretty huge fight for us to kind of get back into the game. We also remove the shutdown on Pantheon as well as Mundo. Speaking of which, Pantheon man drops in and Lux gets caught out. Thankfully I have the mobility to roll out of the way and I am safe. So here you can see I'm 4-1 and 3. I have the PD and I have the shield bow already, so I'm in pretty good shape. I complete the Zanyas, and in this game I actually went for the Gluttonous Greaves to get a little bit more lifesteal because I felt that I needed that lifesteal in this particular match, which is why I went for that. So now, boots that you go are really fluid nowadays. Especially since you no longer have the real need to go for the Boots of Fear, which I think was a really good boot last time for ADCs, but now with the Phantom Dancer rework, that kind of takes the place of the Boots of Fear, and you can now afford to go for Gluttonous Greaves more often. I feel like on a lot of ADCs, going for the Gluttonous Greaves now become good again. Used to be the go-to item for ADCs, but sort of had a time where ADCs were going for defensive boots or Boots of Fear instead of going for the Gluttonous Greaves. But now it's sort of coming back into the meta, at least in my opinion. So here we spot Mundo a little bit overextended. My whole team is kind of rotating to catch out the Mundo, and Mundo is kind of the most fed member of the enemy team here. So, however, the whole entire rest of the enemy team comes here. I think they might have vision here because I just randomly get hooked. And this sort of becomes what could potentially be a team fight. So I'm carefully staying behind my teammates and seeing what's going to happen. Somehow the enemy team kind of just vanishes and Mundo is still there. So we're wasting a lot of time here. So we have to commit to going for the Mundo. If not, we're going to all just waste our time here and accomplish nothing. So here I'm stacking up my attack speed on the minions with my for my Phantom Dancer, and I condemn Mundo into the wall and start blasting him. Kai'Sa rotates unfortunately, so I'm not able to really kill the Mundo. Mundo is a really tanky, chap. So it's gonna take some time to really kill him. Unfortunately, Kai'Sa is there to protect him. Thresh is now here as well. Pantheon is ulting in, and here I'm going into the bush so Pantheon doesn't stun me. He goes for the stun on Seraphine. I pop the ult instead, and Seraphine gets a 2-man charm. I manage to focus down the Thresh. Lux finishes off the kill, and here I still have my ult active. I still have, all my summoner spells. I'm here. I'm just running them down. Kai'Sa ends up dying into invisibility. My shield bow pops, and I'm running down the Pantheon as well as the Mundo. I managed to kill Pantheon despite him flashing, and here Mundo was really close to actually dying, but unfortunately he does not die. He walks back out a little bit. I try to run him down. I thought that would kill him, but unfortunately he lived with 1 HP, and I end up dying to the tower, which was kind of unexpected. I thought I would kill him there with that Silverbolt's proc, but unfortunately he's a little bit more tanky than what I expected, obviously. So we don't actually end up picking up the kill onto Mundo, unfortunately, and yeah, so it's a little bit unfortunate there, but it is what it is, and we do end up dying. Here we're building towards the Blade of the Rune King. Obviously, against someone like a Mundo and Thresh and Pantheon, this is going to be a really good item in addition to giving us a lot of attack speed and lifesteal, which also works really well against, of course, people like Kai'Sa and Gwen. So here the dragon is about 40 seconds away from spawning. We have had both dragons so far, so having triple dragon is a very strong win condition, as most of you guys know. So we're definitely going to be contesting the third dragon. Here I'm already pinging to get my team in position. I pick up the red buff and I'm just farming the raptors while just like waiting for the dragon to spawn. Master Yi comes over, tries to steal the farm. I'm just gonna back off and like try to get into a position to block the enemy team from entering the zone. Dragon's like 30 seconds off from spawning, so there's still time. We want to get mid lane prio before going for the dragon and maybe catch someone out if we can. Here I spot Kaisa walking over. I condemn her into the wall. I try to walk over to DPS her, but you know, CC doesn't last long enough and I don't have the range to reach her. So unfortunately, nothing much really happens. Now dragon is about to spawn. Pantheon is trying to come off a flank, but we do spot him off of the control ward, and Garen tries to go in on him. Now here I'm pinging to retreat because we're getting split into two different parts of the fight, which is not very ideal. Here Gwen tries to come in. I'm just kiting away for now, popping my ult, popping the ghost, and just kiting around the fight. I managed to secure the kill onto Thresh, and then I secure the kill onto the Gwen, or rather Master Yi does, onto Gwen and Kaisa. Flash over to try to kill Kaisa, but I end up coming back over to secure the kill onto the Pantheon, and my team secures the kill onto Mundo. So we do end up getting a clean ace as well as securing triple dragon. So now we're just going to push straight for the win. Probably able to do so. Actually the enemy team just surrendered, so we managed to actually just pick up the victory just like that. So I'm going to leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.